G'day, I'm Bryce Robertson from Cultivate Collective, and today I'm really excited to present to you the Bitcoin Mining Fund with TOUZI Capital. And today it's going to be me speaking with Ang Tang from TOUZI Capital. Welcome, Ang.
Hi, Bryce. Thanks for having me.
So today we're going to cover a confidentiality and disclaimer. Then we're going to get into the investment overview. We're going to talk about why Bitcoin mining. We'll dig into the investment offering, the mining infrastructure, and the project timeline. So we've got a bit of a quick disclaimer here. This is for you to review and lean on your tax, legal, and accounting advisors. We are not tax, legal, or accounting advisors. So make sure that you're doing your own due diligence. There's risks involved with this investment, as there is with any investment. So make sure that you're doing your own due diligence. So Ang, I'm going to pass the baton over to you so you can take it from here.
Thanks for having me, Bryce, and welcome to a very exciting investment opportunity. My name is Ang Tang with TOUZI Capital, and I've known Bryce for not too long, but I think it can be a start of a very fruitful, long-term relationship. We're both investors. We love real estate. We love assets like Bitcoin that, I think for me feels like a great hedge against all the things that I love about real estate, which is a great cash flow, great investment, and great protection against inflation. What we're doing here today is present to you Bitcoin mining, an opportunity to invest in a Bitcoin mining deployment where TOUZI and Bryce Cultivate Collective are acquiring ASIC miners, Bitcoin miners, to essentially deploy into a data center, and with scale of cheap mining acquisition costs and cheap power costs, it combined creates really productive cash flow or Bitcoin production. So in total, I think this is our third deployment of Bitcoin mining. And we've been doing this for 9 months now. And I think this is one of the more interesting types of investments. It'll be different than potentially what you've seen in real estate, of course, but I'm a real estate investor as well. And I want to highlight that for me, it's an attractive investment because it does in many ways feel like a real estate investment. If you want to go to the next slide, please.
Yeah. Before we go on any further, I just wanted to add a little bit of color on our relationship and how we come to know each other. I was actually introduced to you by someone that I admire and respect, someone who's a high-profile person in the investment industry. So that was really, really exciting to be introduced through that method. And also one of the other co-sponsors of this investment, Alpesh Parmar from Wealth Matters, he's already joined me in a mobile home park investment this year. In a purchase that we did down in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and he's been working with you for years. So I'm definitely excited to be cultivating this relationship with you.
Same here. So I hope everyone understands what Bitcoin is. I'm not going into detail of that, although happy to answer any questions by Bryce. But why Bitcoin now? Well, besides the fact that it's close to all-time highs, depending on when you see this. It could be an all-time high. I think it was just a few days ago, it's all-time high. I think it's ready to be adopted. Wider institutional adoption through the use of ETFs and corporate treasury, companies like Tesla and MicroStrategy and MassMutual, traditional companies in the financial sphere, are all adding Bitcoin to the balance sheet. There's also going to be increased consumer use of Bitcoin. There's going to be Bitcoin ATMs launching. And I think it's a great hedge against the dollar. And what I love about Bitcoin is that there will be only 21 million Bitcoin ever made, and that's codified in code. When you're investing in something, you want to invest in certainty, in a known fixed scarcity. This creates an increasingly high potential massive growth. And that's been the case for Bitcoin. Obviously a very volatile asset, but an extremely well-producing asset. And I have been in Bitcoin since 2013. I wish I kept more of it. Otherwise, I might just, I might be more in an island somewhere. But I think what I like about Bitcoin and why I see there's still a lot of room to grow is that just this year, it felt like a sea change compared to every other year. While there could be ebbs and flows on the prices, I think there's just so much institutional capital going in and so much consumer adoption. This year, 2021, has been the year of crypto. Everyone is talking about crypto. Everyone is thinking about crypto. And even the SEC is looking at approving Bitcoin-related and other crypto-related ETFs, creating public market adoption. Why that matters is a lot of people are going to be buying and acquiring crypto and Bitcoin specifically for the first time, and that will likely drive up prices.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add on top of that too, that I've been invested in cryptocurrencies for years now as well. I'm very bullish on crypto, especially Bitcoin. I've been seeking a Bitcoin mining fund for quite a while now, but I wanted to make sure that I was going to be investing with the right operating partner. And then I came across Ang, and I've already invested with Ang. I've really enjoyed the process. I've really enjoyed everything, and I've been very happy with everything that I've seen. And I just wanted to add a little bit of extra color on kind of who's involved in Bitcoin, and because this is probably bigger than some of you expect. So some of the companies that accept Bitcoin, Wikipedia, Microsoft, AT&T, Home Depot, Starbucks, Whole Foods, Amazon. Now, Amazon doesn't directly accept Bitcoin, but they do through an app called Purse, Purse.io. There's also companies like Overstock, Burger King, KFC, Subway, Pizza Hut, Miami Dolphins, Dallas Mavericks, Virgin Galactic, Norwegian Air, Alternative Airlines, Dish Network, Intuit, aka QuickBooks, Remax in London, T-Mobile in Poland, Stripe, and Webjet. And there's also an app, Lolly, which gets you free Bitcoin by shopping at major stores like Walmart, Best Buy, Gap, Macy's, Overstock, Groupon, GoDaddy, Office Depot, Office Max, Sam's Club, Priceline, VRBO, Hotwire, Hilton, Marriott, Bloomingdale's, Barnes & Noble, Saks Fifth Avenue. Some top companies that own Bitcoin are Tesla, Square, and Coinbase Global. And as Ang mentioned before, there's also a Bitcoin debit cards and Bitcoin ATMs, which are also known as BTMs. For those of you in my group, I'm going to be investing in a BTM fund early in 2022. So you'll be hearing more about that in our monthly newsletters. But you can also buy and sell Bitcoin through PayPal as well. So I just wanted to add those in there so people can really understand the capacity of what we're dealing with here.
Yeah, and I love that explanation because why would then, I think we've been talking about Bitcoin. We're talking about, I think we should own Bitcoin. I've owned Bitcoin. I've been owning Bitcoin for a while, but would I buy Bitcoin? Why buy Bitcoin when you can invest in Bitcoin mining, which the outcome of it is receiving more Bitcoin. If you're investing today in buying Bitcoin at $60,000, if that's the price today, you would get one Bitcoin. And if you were investing the same amount of money in this investment, you would, over the life of this investment, receive 1.5, if not more Bitcoin. This is a levered bet into Bitcoin. You're buying Bitcoin at a discounted price because of the mechanisms of Bitcoin mining and how it produces Bitcoin to the miners.
Excellent.
So how do we achieve these great benefits? I think one of the reasons why is if you were interested in Bitcoin mining and doing something yourself, which I think, I always like to encourage people to understand the technicalities. If you're investing in one of my real estate deals or one of Bryce's real estate deals, I think probably you guys have bought something yourself in real estate, experienced it. But I think there's, as you guys know, there's some benefits of procuring things at scale. So when we buy at large bulk purchases, which is what we're doing, we get a lot of discounts on the pricing. And then when we consume a lot of power, which these miners, these computers do, we get a lot of discount on the power. When you combine these two things, you get efficient Bitcoin production.
Yeah, and also like to add on that you guys are going out and purchasing these machines beforehand. So you've already gone out and purchased these machines, and I really appreciate that. I think that's like an excellent way to structure a business model.
Yeah, and I want to highlight that one point that Bryce said. The reason why I do all my deals like that, which is to have some certainty for investors, is that I want to not just get money from you guys as investment and then deploy it. I want to lock in the great rates that we can get now, because with Bitcoin mining and Bitcoin computers, essentially the earlier you can buy them in advance, the cheaper the discount. It's like a product that if you're buying on something we call spot pricing, which is you can buy it and get it now, the discount of waiting a month and buying it the same time and buying a month later is typically 5 to 8%, and then add that to every month. So those are things that I'm proud to provide that benefit to you investors. I love this slide. I'm a real estate investor. I've been investing in real estate, and I think Bryce is all along with me in terms of why he loves investing in real estate. Cash flow and tax event benefits. Why? I'm not sure about you, but my AGI this year is negative, and I think that's going to be the case for a long time. I was a W-2 employee at one point. I used to work at Apple, and I pay a lot of taxes. I make more money now, and I pay a lot less taxes. And that's through a lot of real estate and depreciation. And what Bitcoin mining does is a lot of the same thing. What Bitcoin mining does is it produces Bitcoin on a daily basis. And for the first time ever in any fund, we're going to be providing monthly distributions like real estate, like dividends, and we will give you the option to receive it in dollars or Bitcoin. And in our earlier funds, we had a lot of investors opt for Bitcoin. It is easier for us to send. I would encourage it because obviously you would participate in the potential appreciation in the future. Of course, there's that risk it could go down. But if you didn't care about Bitcoin at all, if you didn't even care, like, why is Bryce presenting to me a Bitcoin mining presentation? I don't care about Bitcoin. I just want cash flow. This will get you cash flow. And this will get you cash flow fast because we can sell the Bitcoin every month, which we will have to do to pay for expenses, and then send that money to you, the investor. On the other side of things, you have amazing tax benefits. If you think about what Amazon does, they have a lot of tax shelters. The biggest one is depreciation. And you guys are familiar with depreciation for real estate. It works very much the same way for any productive asset. A car that's 6,000 pounds or higher can depreciate. Warehouses can depreciate. Machines can depreciate. This is a machine that is a productive asset, is an income producing asset, and you can depreciate. You can take Section 179 of tax code and take 100% bonus depreciation on the cost basis of the machine. We are expecting in our previous investments 90% depreciation to investors. So if you put in $100,000, you could get around a $90,000 year one loss in the form of depreciation. And the reason why we're doing such a high percentage is because our other costs are minimal. We're not charging any fees, any setup costs, anything. Potentially there's other costs, delivery and installation costs that we're just passing through, but those obviously aren't depreciable. But almost all your money is going towards miners and machines.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add on that. So, you guys, as my investors, the reason that you love mobile home parks like I do is because we have accelerated depreciation, bonus depreciation, and we can typically depreciate our assets in the mobile home park space between 15 and 17 and a half years, which in the real estate world is very quick. But what Ang was just saying right now is we can depreciate this investment or 90% of it in year one. Which is just absolutely phenomenal. It's got me extremely excited. And I know it's got a lot of you guys excited as well. And the cool thing about that is there's the possibility for you to apply that to your 2021 taxes. Or alternatively, you could apply that to your 2022 taxes, depending on whatever your circumstances are. So I just wanted to make that one aware as well.
So I think we're all here about the numbers. How much money do you want to make? If you hold Bitcoin, if you hold Bitcoin and you invest in Bitcoin, I think the comparison here really should be if you bought Bitcoin at 60,000 and it stays 60,000 for 5 years, your IRR will be zero. You won't have to make any money. But if you invest in Bitcoin mining in this fund specifically, and it starts at 60,000, and then it stays at 60,000 for the whole 5 years of this investment horizon, you will still receive a very high IRR of 38%. And these are variable because there's other factors that are out of our control, including difficulty. And I'll explain what that means in a little bit. But on the basis of just that, it's a very strong investment with good downside protection. And then if you look at the upside, if it goes to 250 in 5 years, which for a lot of analysts, they're predicting way more. Kathy Woods of ARK Investments is predicting 500K and up in 5 years. And you can see these numbers move in these very amazing levels of returns. Of course, is on the assumption that you do take the Bitcoin and you hold it. And they're a little bit less if you take cash. But it's still a very strong investment.
Yeah, and so just to add on to that too, just reiterating what Ang said, as investors, you guys can choose how you're going to receive your distributions. You can either receive them in cash or you can receive them in Bitcoin. Myself, I'm definitely receiving it in Bitcoin because I get to gain on the additional multiple there. But you have that choice and that flexibility there too. So we have some cash flow projections just here. And I wanted to just make very clear that this exact slide right here is not going to be the exact slide that you have in your investor portal. Some of the numbers will change very slightly, but this is in here for example purposes. So for the most up-to-date projected numbers, you're actually going to see that in your slide deck in the investor portal. And also you're going to have access to the most updated numbers in a spreadsheet in the calculation projections in your investor portal as well. But I wanted to bring this up basically to show you guys how the investment capital can be returned in just a short time. So you want to add a little bit of color to that, Ang?
Yeah, I want to highlight two things. One is there's a lot of moving pieces, right? This is a scenario that you invest 100K in Bitcoin and it goes from 60K to 250K in 5 years in a fairly even linear pattern. That's obviously not the pattern of Bitcoin. There's lots of movements up and down that does affect its returns. But in our previous funds, which wasn't launched was launched recently a few months ago, we've been delivering close to 40% return in 4 months. And this was with Bitcoin price being 40K to start. In fact, we just launched it at 30K. And now, of course, it's 60. So I could imagine it keeps going up. Our profit margins are close to 85% in that fund. And I would predict in this one would hover around 80% and above. This is a very highly profitable venture. And one of the things I want to highlight here also is, unlike a real estate investment, there's no return of capital at the back end. We're using these miners until they deteriorate, until they're no longer usable, and there's no really useful sell price at the end. So if you think about this investment, think of it as you get your return of capital within 10, in this case, 9, 10 to 15 months at the worst case, probably. You get your money back pretty quickly, and then it's all profits for as long as we're mining. And in our projections, we're putting a 5-year horizon for that. Although it can be longer, because if Bitcoin price is at 250 or 400 or 500 in 5 years, you will definitely expect us to make sure we fix the machines and run them as long as possible. There's no reason why we're not going to keep running those machines. Today, there are miners machines that are 7 years old that came online this year that weren't online last year because the price of Bitcoin went 10x. And imagine Bitcoin pricing going 5x, our machines will still be very profitable.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And there was also something that I wanted to touch on there. You were talking about returning capital in 10 to 15 months. Okay, that's the projection. Now, in real estate, as you guys know, in a typical deal that we do, you're not going to get your capital returned for around about 5 to 7 years. And then in the recent deals that we've done lately, where we've done a refi in the middle, investors get their capital returned at around about year 3. And that's just got a lot of you like super excited. And so this makes me like even more excited to know that capital gets returned in somewhere between 10 to 15 months as projected. Now, there's 2 main reasons why I'm super excited about that. Number one, when capital gets returned to me, in my opinion, beyond that, obviously we want it to be as profitable as we can, but at least we're out and we're essentially risk-free beyond that point. We've already claimed the depreciation. Plus, we've got our capital back. We're already ahead. We've already won in the investment. There's no way we could lose. Any other profits beyond that, excellent. That's great. The second reason is when we get our capital returned to us, we have the choice right then to go and redeploy that capital and go compound the investment by investing it in something else, while you get to remain in this investment for the whole 5 to 7 year projected cycle.
And I also want to talk about the downside, because I think obviously this is a much more speculative investment. I do want to caution people. I am very wildly optimistic about Bitcoin, but I have been used to the volatility of this asset class. One thing I want to highlight is it's a very low cost of mining. For us to be profitable, we would need to have Bitcoin price go down to 8,800 and below for us to be negative yield on ongoing profits. What that means is, as long as we're roughly around 9,000, and this could change, of course, with difficulty and other factors that makes it a little bit more competitive, we're giving you guys a monthly yield. At 10,000, we're probably giving you a 0.5% yield. Obviously, at 60,000, we're giving you an 8 to 10% yield. At 100,000, we're giving you higher monthly yield on your investment.
Yeah. And like Ang said, it's hard to predict exactly where Bitcoin's going to go. There's a lot of people with different opinions on that. Bitcoin is a little bit volatile. It goes up and down. But no matter who I hear from out there that's giving their predictions of where Bitcoin's going to go and when it's going to go, I've never heard anybody talk about it going below $20,000. So the fact that there's essentially a $9,000 break-even point for Bitcoin, and that makes me feel really comfortable about the downside protection.
Yeah, and I want to highlight also that when we launched our first fund, Bitcoin price was around 64,000 in April. It went down to $30,000 the next few months. We had investors who were buying Bitcoin, and in their unrealized gains, they lost half their funds. Some of them sold actually in the bottom. That's not a great idea, but some of them invested with us, and we actually made more money. So it was a countervailing force. The investment terms, rather simple, 5+ years of mining if we can get a useful life out of them and profitability beyond 5 years, which is, I think it's a pretty good bet. We'll mine, continue to mine. We're not going to cut off at any given time. We're just going to continue to mine as long as profitable. And a return to capital within 10 to 15 months, monthly distributions, as we said, in USD or BTC, a 90-10 split in return of capital. There's no other fees. The 10% is mostly to cover operation, accounting, and other administrative fees and some staff. And then a 50-50 profit share after return of capital. I want to highlight that I got an inspiration on this fund when I invested in a much bigger fund a year ago, and their splits was 80-20 and 65 to them, 35 to investors, and they still made a lot of money. I invest in that, but it didn't pay out. It didn't pay out monthly. It paid out at the end of the cycle. So still waiting for money for that. I think so good.
Yeah, and I wanna add a little bit of more horsepower. What you're saying here, the whole reason for like the 90-10 split is, I mean, you guys have some overheads, so you basically have to cover some overheads, which is why you guys are taking the 10 split. But there's investors are getting 90% of profits through that return of capital period, and what that says to me is that Ang has confidence in what he's doing and what he's bringing to the table, that he can basically essentially take no profits because he's not making anything off the 10%. That's really just covering overheads for the administration costs and everything. He's giving all money to investors for that return of capital period, which to me is a performance-based way to structure a deal. It's how we've structured a handful of our deals this year. And I think it's the most honorable way to structure a deal, because, you know, otherwise it could be structured, you know, 50-50 from the start, where, you know, Ang and his team are going to get profits regardless of whether they're returning the capital in the time that they're saying. So he's very driven to return that capital to you guys. I think it's very performance based. It's a very honorable way to do it. And it definitely earns his stripes to move to the 50-50 split thereafter.
Thanks for that. And I just want to add one last comment on that. I'm an investor. I am investing in this fund. I'm investing in every fund that I do. I am investing in everything. I'm usually the biggest investor in everything. And I've been in lots of our deals, including this one. We don't take an acquisition fee because I'm betting on this as much as I am. And I want you guys to, and Bryce and I want you guys to have the least risky position, to get the money first, because Bitcoin price could go down in the future, and I'm betting on the future. But in this near term of 10 months, we're going to return all your money back. And you know, this every profit that we make is we're going to be driven by profit. That means we're going to be driven by making this 5 years extend to 7, even beyond. I'm going to be right alongside you guys with my own money. And to highlight that point, I have already acquired the miners, gone in contract and buying the miners and putting my own money to buy them upfront, to lock in the prices right now. And then, and sometimes people ask, like, why do you even need investors? Well, because I like sharing and I like to scale, and I can always buy more. And, you know, you guys are helping me grow. I help you guys grow. I think this is a very symbiotic, mutually beneficial relationship.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, I'm investing in this fund as well. I've already invested with Ang. I'm investing in this fund as well. Again, I'm really excited about it, and I know that you guys all are too, because the response that we've had for this has been very overwhelming. So I know that a lot of you are super excited about it too. So now we're going to dig into the mining infrastructure. So the machines we're going to use are Bitmain Antminer Pros. Do you want to dig into that, Ang?
Yeah, if you don't mind going to the next slide, actually. So one of the things that, you know, if you know about the industry, it's essentially really 3 main players. It's really 2 main players, Bitmain being and Whatsminer being the 2 top dogs. And I have a very close relationship with Bitmain. In fact, I went to dinner with them on Monday. And I continue to have close contacts with the China team because it's all Chinese-based manufacturers. China has banned Bitcoin mining and Bitcoin crypto, but they have not banned manufacturing of Bitcoin mining. And I'm leveraging a lot of my personal and industry connections to acquire these miners. And this is the state-of-the-art, newest generation miners. And why do I want to acquire the state-of-the-art, newest generation miners? Because these are the most power efficient, productive miners today. Now, there will be, as any computer, there'll be more better computers coming out in the future, but this gives us a little bit of future proofing so that when these newer machines come out, that the older machines will become a little bit more obsolete faster, and ours will be the last man standing, last miner standing if Bitcoin price goes down. I think that's very good to note because you want to have very energy efficient machines that produce really strong outputs. And it pays to pay a little bit more on the newest generation, which was released early this year in June. So that's the miners, right? Miners essentially computers. Computers get hot, they run better under cooler temperatures, like in a data center. And when they're in hot weather, they can fail. What I like about this investment is that we're going to be using immersion cooling technology. And this is a trend that all investments in Bitcoin mining will likely go towards in the future. This is a trend that will be helpful to increase the longevity and productivity of the Bitcoin mining itself.
Yeah, and the fluid that they use in this immersion cooling is actually patented technology that these guys have, and it's biodegradable as well. So it makes me feel really good from like an ethical and green perspective. Something that I wanted to share with you too.
Yeah, and I like the technology, but I also like the economic output, right? I'm an investor. Why do I want to pay a little bit more for immersion cooling? Because it is a little bit more. It's not the cheapest product you can get. It's not the cheapest way to plug in your machines. You're putting it in bathed in oil and water, and you're getting essentially no environmental impact, meaning air, hot air flowing in, because these things run loud, they run hot. You get longer lifespan of miners, you get higher efficiency. In some cases, you get 30 to 40% higher productivity of miners, meaning that if one miner were generating 1 Bitcoin, you get 1.4 Bitcoin, and you would get a little bit better savings on power as well. So all these things are one of the reasons why this investment specifically is going to be a very productive one. And I'm excited to partner with our hosting partner, Elite Mining, in this investment. I like Justin, the CEO. I talk to him all the time. They're opening a new manufacturing facility in Wyoming. They are based in Washington. I have visited them, and we're going to be meeting Senator Loomis, a very big advocate for crypto, in their opening ceremony. And I look at this as a partnership in a company that is innovating full immersion cooling. And what they're going to do is they're going to host these miners in these trailers. And you can see in the bottom left corner of this picture, we've acquired 7 of these, several for previous iterations of this fund, ones that Bryce has invested in, and some for this investment for you guys. And so they're being manufactured now. And then you look inside, there's essentially these baiting units that essentially you put the miners in, and then you close it, and they run smoothly. And where do you host it? You plug it into these natural gas wells, where essentially, if you drove by any natural gas or oil reserves, you're seeing these flares happening. And you might say, this is not green energy. I think it's one of the best types of energy because it's wasted energy that is being unutilized. Almost all of our mining production is either in green energy or capturing energy that is not being utilized or wasted. So we're actually reducing the carbon footprint because we're capturing that flare that if you see essentially a long stack and bunch of fire coming out, you're just capturing that energy into generator and then plug into our machines. So what is the timeline? So we got in contract on the miners, requiring them in November. I already put the money down. Install is in Q1, and then distributions in early Q2. As soon as we get installed, as soon as we start hashing, we will start providing distributions the month after. We're not wasting any time. We want to do this as fast as possible. I put these dates as sort of guidelines, but obviously I am going to try to be as fast as possible. But I want to be mindful of the fact that there's a global supply crunch in logistics affecting everything. These are chips that essentially, if you're going to buy a Tesla or any of these other cars, especially a Ford, there's a 1-year delay in buying these things. The good thing is the miners already produce, but we do need to still deal with China, and we still need to ship them from Shenzhen and Hong Kong into our facilities and a warehouse, and then install them and into the elite mining immersion units. And with this technology, this investment, you also receive a K1 this year, the following year, and that will highlight the bonus appreciation if you so choose.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, once the first distribution happens, and you guys are projecting to do monthly distributions, correct?
Yes. So the first one will be the most painful one, at least from my perspective, meaning that I will ask you guys for your Bitcoin address, or Bryce will ask, and we will confirm the test deposit. But after that, in my experience with our other earlier funds, it's smooth sailing. It's just monthly, send the money. It's very easy. It's very fast. And I want to highlight them. Our first fund, this is the wallet of our first fund. We are receiving, so you can see that every day, $16,000. It's a cash cow money printing machine. This is $426,000 that will be liquidated in part to pay for energy and our OPEX. Typically, that's around 15%. And then we'll sell a little bit to cover those who want cash. And then we'll send the rest out. We make money, we send it out. That's you're going to do as fast as possible.
Excellent. Well, thank you. So we're going to dig into a very quick question and answer here. We've got a lot of questions that have come in from investors. Down the bottom there, you can see my contact information there. You should have already received an email launch right now, which has instructions on how to invest. If you haven't, please go back and check your emails. If for some reason you didn't get that email, just make sure you hit me up at Bryce@PropertyWorks USA, and works ends with a Z or a Z, however you pronounce that. So that's Bryce@PropertyWorks USA. So again, you should have received instructions on how to sign up in the investor portal, and that's where you can access all of your documents. Make sure to go in there and review all of your documents, the slide deck, the PPM subscription agreement, everything like that. There's also a very detailed 15-page frequently asked questions. So that's very, very helpful. I know a lot of you will have questions, and we totally welcome your questions, but I do urge you, please go through that detailed 15-page frequently asked questions document and go through that fully before you come back to us, because we want to be able to spend our time helping those of you without the need of having to repeat ourselves for something that's already being detailed. But regardless of that, I'm going to stop this screen share right now, and I'm just going to move over to some questions that have been coming in from you guys. And I know we've only got a few minutes to work through this. So first question is, do I need to be an accredited investor to invest?
I'm excited to present this as a 506B offering and to extend this with Bryce's strong relationship with you guys. I always think that accreditation rules are protecting the wealthy to invest, and I want to make this as accessible as possible.
So to reiterate, that's 506B. So we can take some accredited and non-accredited investors as well. Next question, can I invest with a self-directed IRA?
Yes, this is an investable security. So we have many investors invested in a self-directed IRA. It might be a much better tax treatment as well. So it's definitely something to consider.
Similar question here. Can we invest as an LLC?
Yes, you can invest in an LLC, individual or trust. These are all great options. I think trust is one of my favorites. If you're in California, if you already have an LLC that you invest with, please do invest with that.
And then the next question is, can I fund my investment in Bitcoin?
This is a good question. And I will, my team hates me at saying yes to too many things. I think in general, probably not. I think if I'll try to make some exceptions here and there, but I think ultimately, if you can sell your Bitcoin and then, which is kind of anti to what this is, and then send the dollar conversion to that, that'd be great.
Thank you. And then what are the associated fees with this investment, and how does the 90-10 and 50-50 split work?
Yeah, so as we talked about earlier, 90-10 is really about covering our OpEx and any additional overhead that we have. There's no additional fees, no acquisition fee, no asset management fee. The 10% is really about that. And then the profit share is after we turn all your capital back, we'll start sharing profits. And
excellent. Next question is, how does the bonus depreciation work?
So the great thing about buying miners and computers at large is that you can depreciate them as a business. And so we're going to take that and pass through that depreciation to you. And so every dollar that we put into these miners is a dollar we can depreciate.
Excellent. Next question is, if this is my first Bitcoin investment, do I have to already be set up with Bitcoin, or can I set that up later?
Yes, you can set that up later. So we'll provide, Bryce and I will provide instructions. I'm sure Bryce will help you guys set up your own wallet. We do have some wallets that we would recommend, Trust Wallet, and then hardware wallets, of course, software wallets that we will highlight. In fact, we could have another session just to help you set that up.
Excellent. Then there is, the next question is, what will happen at the end of 5 years, and what is the exit strategy?
What will happen at the end of 5 years is we'll keep reassessing every year if it's profitable. At a certain point, it becomes unprofitable because there'll be new machines that will outpace ours. And that one thing that I didn't explain in this presentation is when there are more machines and more productive machines, then there's still a fixed amount of Bitcoin being mined every day. So think about this, if you think of a community that has on a fixed amount of renters and fixed amount of rental income, if you put in 10 more mobile units or 10 more machines, 10 more houses, everyone or 10% more, everyone gets 10% less rent. So that will happen. What has countervailing that is that the price goes up by more than 10% typically. But in general, 5 years is really just there for prosperity. We will continue to mine these machines for as long as they're productive.
Excellent. And then the last question that's come in is, when is my cutoff date for this investment?
We're going to make the cutoff date by the end of Thanksgiving. We're trying to start the investment as soon as possible. There's some logistics on that side. I think this would be a very I think this is going to be a very fast-moving investment. In my experience, our previous ones have gone very fast. But I want you guys to take your time, ask questions, understand why we're doing this. This is a new thing for everybody. I don't want to rush anybody. I'm sure Bryce feels the same. We don't like to rush people. We want you guys to be informed investors and make the best decision for yourself. But I know that many people miss and regret not taking advantage of the first fund. But I want to make sure that you guys don't feel FOMO. Make an informed investment decision, because this is hopefully the first of many of these type of investments.
Yeah, and I'd like to reiterate that I don't want any of you guys to move faster than you feel comfortable with. Just move at the pace that you feel comfortable with. Having that said, we have had a lot of interest for this investment. A lot of you guys out there are very interested. We do work on a first come, first serve basis. So it is going to be like that. So if you feel like it's moving too quickly for you, just kind of like watch along, and then you could get involved in one of the next funds. But for now, this is going to move quickly. We have had a lot of interest, and even though it's I suppose essentially closing on Thanksgiving, it's my anticipation that we'll be fully subscribed significantly before then. So thank you very much. Really, really appreciate your time, Ang. It's been an absolute pleasure discussing this with you. I'm really excited about the investment that we already have together. I'm really excited to be building this business relationship with you. Really excited to bring this to our group. And for all of you out there that are interested in getting involved in this investment, again, make sure that you go into your investor portal, review all of the documents. And if you have any questions, reach out to me, give me a call, shoot me an email. I'm here for you guys at anything you need. So once again, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.